Okay, well, call the meeting to order. All of those that can, please stand and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and for all. All right. That's good to see everybody. So roll call, please.
All board members are present.
Okay, the next item is approval of agenda. I'd like to add an item that I forgot about at the last minute here, but we discussed it at the last board meeting. And the item is about concrete for the tennis court and the basketball court. We did talk about that now. Yeah,
We did.
and what we had was a couple different quotes, and so anyways. Solid idea. So I'd like to add that, I guess we can just call it 7B. 7's public comment. We're gonna have to call it
Yeah, 8E maybe,
8, what?
E.
New business. It's old business, but
It's a bid, did you say?
8 is new business.
no, but I mean, there was no old business. This would be old business because we discussed it at the previous meeting. But
It's a fine line.
whatever you want to do, you tell me.
8E, she said.
Okay, we're gonna call it 8E. Cement.
Cement.
Researches.
Okay, so that's all I've got to add to it. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I would move to approve the agenda with amendments.
Support Lewis.
With the addition
Okay,
of
moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
All right, next item is the consent agenda approval.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, Salvia.
My support.
Cooper support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any discussions on that? Just, all right, and vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
All right, announcements. The health fair, October 10th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Fire Station number 1. The Highland Farmers Market, Saturday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until October 8th.
It's like
Market,
last
I-
farmer's market, a lot of people.
There
A lot of
was.
tents and stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good.
Just drove by and stop. I tried to buy it, looked over.
I wasn't there this weekend, but I heard it was cold, but last weekend it was hot. and-
Good news.
A lot of people on disability.
Yes, they're very excited.
Tammy, you
So tomorrow night, we have the candidate meet and greet at Milford High School in the cafeteria from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a drop-in open house style. I have most of the school board candidates coming and several of the legislative candidates. So hope you'll stop in and get to know some of those people.
have 6 to 9.
Hopefully we'll have some students. I gave them extra credit opportunities to go.
Very nice.
Meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, so next
Are we still on?
public
Public
comment. Anybody got any public comment?
Joda and I do.
Well, we're approaching November, which is Veterans Day on the 11th, but we also have celebrated Veterans Month, really. And in grateful support of our AMVET post, we will be doing 20 events between November 9th and November 15th.
Oh, the last one.
Averaging 3 a day. Thank you to Lakeland. Brian was one of the pioneers of helping us start veterans recognition ceremonies at schools. They've really picked up. All the schools are on board. they're putting up walls of honor, veteran walls of honor, bringing pictures of their family members. So there's not one day. We can't just remember veterans on one day.
Right.
So at least we have a formal recognition during the month of November. And then obviously we recognize veterans all through the year. Down in Branson last week, and everything we went to, there was always recognition of that everywhere we went. So it was a nice thing. Not to say anything about myself, but this will be my 16th year of launching the Detroit Veterans Day Parade, which will be on November 6th.
Wow.
So we continue doing things that uphold that remembrance. So it's and all that planning is in the process all the time right now. So
Okay,
I just want to piggyback. I'm gonna give Joe credit for the Huron Valley side because he's the one that, I'm proud to say Lake, we were the first one.
yeah, you were.
But because you came to me, if you remember, and you said we need to do something and we worked together, so. The first one was a real, it was a nightmare event because we know what we're doing, but we got it down to a science now. And it's nice. I'm glad all the schools are on board. I'm very proud that we were first, but I'm so proud that the district, everybody's doing it. And but I thank Joe because he came to me and he said, we need to do something. That's how we started it. So
And each school.
I'm going to give you the credit for that. But you deserve
Each
that.
school has developed their own, I go there as an advisor. Let me know what you want to do and I'll help out, give you some ideas, but I want them to develop their own plan. It's not a Joe plan, it's their.
So everybody wants to come over on we're, I don't know if we're the last one, but we're on the 15th. Then White Lake and us are on the 15th with somebody after, but it's over the last one, which is kind of, I didn't realize we did it because the band, they were gone. Anyways, that's just worked out for our schedule. Everybody wants to come over, you're more than welcome. I'll try to remind you. I'll send an email out on the 15th of November.
It's something good to see.
It is. It's a real good, it's
A lot of emotion.
it is. That's the best part.
Well, and we'll have it on the next agenda, probably under announcements. So
Okay.
send us that, send us a schedule, someone.
Yeah, the other thing I want to mention on that day, we'll be doing the ceremony at Highlands Memorial at 11 o'clock. I say we, typically VFW has taken charge of that. Tom Oldeswig has been in the hospital for a long time.
Oh, is he really?
He's waiting for surgery, but he can't. He's got a lot of issues that will not allow him to have surgery. I think I heard that he stepped down as commander of the VFW. I believe his son may be stepping up. So we're gonna find that out tomorrow, if they're gonna officially conduct the ceremony. If not, AMBUTS will conduct the ceremony. We will have a ceremony. I don't want to take that away from VFW. That's their little world. So it'll be 11 o'clock. I mean, 11 things.
Thank you, Joe.
That's all I
Yeah,
have.
thank you,
at this
Joe.
moment.
Everything you do.
One year we decorated the Christmas tree with pictures of veterans and family members that were veterans and did it in red, white, and blue. It was pretty cool.
Can you talk louder, please?
One year we decorated our Christmas tree at the township with veterans pictures and red, white, and blue. It was pretty cool.
Okay, that's good.
So anybody could bring their pictures in and hang them on the tree. It was very cool.
All right, I'm done with my comments.
okay, appreciate it. So just remember, we are recording on one mic, so we do need to project our voices.
Okay.
We all have a tendency, except for me, I'm the loud one.
Well,
you are,
very
or am I?
aware of it.
We're both.
I have one.
Do we want to tell?
One more.
No chance.
Monday, October 10th, the Garden Club is having their next speaker. It's the milkweed community is not just monarchs. Donald Drive, he's called the Michigan Nature Guy is what he calls himself. So that will be at the Station House on Livingston at 6:30. The doors open $5. Come and join us.
If you let Shannon know from Oakland County Courts, they're looking at doing some sort of a butterfly area behind the water retention area here
Cool.
because of the area. So
I can let Shannon know.
I know where they can get seeds
Pardon me?
by the bucket full. Yes,
You have
second-
seeds?
in the middle of the median, when I mow, they'll plug the radiator on the mower.
second week of October is Fire Prevention Week. At the end of that week, October 16th, we'll be hosting the pancake breakfast in the fire department open house. That'll run from 9 till noon. The tickets are adults 7, kids and seniors 5. Breakfast and get the walk to the fire station. Show the rooms and demonstrations and stuff also.
Nice.
That one was awesome.
And I hope they have something coming very soon about station two. Nothing as of yet.
Okay, so anything else?
I'm done.
I'm good. All right, next item is new business, discussion of the 2023 budget.
I'm out of here.
Okay,
Let them out.
you're out.
We've discussed this so much.
So, in front of you is the, proposed budget. There's probably gonna be a couple of tweaks here and there. When you start playing with the spreadsheet, sometimes you find out that the math
Doesn't quite work.
that you expected to work, pulls pranks on you. Partly because we get it sent from, our bookkeeper. That's, if you notice the red print on this thing,
For revenue.
if in an Excel spreadsheet for those who are non-bookkeepers, that means it's revenue.
Negative.
It's a negative number. So when you start playing with a spreadsheet with positive numbers and start using those negative numbers, everything scrambles itself up, and then you try and do a formula to fix it, and it just messes it up even worse. So,
You never had that problem.
so what I do is I take it and I put it into a different spreadsheet package, and that way it doesn't contaminate anybody else's spreadsheets. In looking through this, just if you just kind of whip through some of the pages, you'll see things that are highlighted in green. Not everything's highlighted like it should be, but for instance, this the second item under proposed is an increase as well. But the green is for revenue, and then which doesn't fall through for expenditure total, but it's just to visually get your eye to draw to those different numbers that are
And then
different than the year before. And then when we get into expenditures, it's kind of a orangey color, just to kind of delineate. So what we can do is I'll start out on page 1 here and kind of just wander through these items that definitely draw attention. And the first thing is current property tax. The taxes valuable has gone up, and it's a 5% increase over the previous year. And then our state revenue sharing, which is garnered through sales tax, is up 13%.
That's crazy stuff.
And building
People were
permits,
spending.
if you look at that, that's up significantly. That's up 20,000. Heating permits almost doubled. Same thing
So-
with,
The actuals in 2021 are actually even higher than that.
yeah,
Do we think we're not gonna hit the 2021?
no,
Okay,
I think 22 is gonna be more. We're gonna be close.
I actually got those numbers from our building official.
Hmm,
Now, these are projections.
Yes.
So we have to keep
totally
that in mind.
proposed.
Yeah.
So, on the line that says ARPA funds, with the no plan to spend. The $710,000 is what we anticipate spending in 2023. And this is a multi-year thing, so, but
So
what we're doing is we're using the ARPA money to pay for payroll,
you said we plan on spending it. It's a revenue item.
a revenue item, yeah.
I'll take that note out next time. That was just more for us to go through it. So there's a item where we expend it too,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
same exact amount.
Yeah, when you use
Yeah.
the word spend, this is revenue.
Right.
Okay.
So
Right.
we have how many years to spend that through 24?
you have to have it obligated, I think.
Obligated
by-
December 24, and then you have until 25 or 26 to spend.
Okay,
We have it obligated.
all right. Thank you.
So for those that may or may not remember, correct me, Tammy, if I state this incorrectly, but the idea was to use it for payroll because it's a lot easier to track that than to have to go and pay for little odds and ends. So what that does, it frees up general fund money to be able to do that.
And then we
So-
have a plan for that through general fund and capital of what we want to as a board spend it on.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh my God.
Just saying.
so we're gonna use Metro Authority money. That's been kind of building up a little bit.
Yep, so we, instead of, we do one chloride payment a year now, and that should work. We get about 12 to 20,000 a year additional money. And so the one payment will help us spend that back money down, because you can only spend it on roads and you cannot spend it on MDOT roads. Only road commission roads. So chloride seemed to be the best.
Yeah.
Our chloride. that we
Yep.
do.
And couple lines down, you'll see the summer tax collection fee. That's our percent, isn't it? Of
Mhm.
what, projected to go up, so.
Through the
And that-
county and the schools.
All right, page 2. Fairly insignificant increases. Interest earnings 15,000. That may change with.
I
interest
know,
rates.
so actual in 21 was 12, and currently in August,
Well, we don't need to project any more than that.
Right.
It's not,
I tried, I mean, I took the best stab at it.
but that's the interesting side of inflation fighting is that those with money sitting idle have a tendency to get the benefit of
We currently,
the anti-inflation effect, which puts
Yeah.
everybody else in the hole.
as of September 1st, we collected 16,000 in interest this year, so,
So it's a good,
yeah. It was,
the snow removal reimbursement down there is the library.
Yeah.
And then miscellaneous is that fund money that we haven't
Yep.
just decided what we're doing with it. yet.
no, so miscellaneous is when we receive in monies that we don't actually have an account for. We
Right.
put them in there, and then the auditors will pull, they'll say, give us, 9, 10, 11, and number 12, and we give them to them to show that we put it somewhere and then took it in and then put it where it belonged.
There you go. Treasurer's answer. Now, the next items,
Just want to comment on page 2. It's nice that you move the expenditure total underneath the revenue, even though it's on page 9. Because you can see right away the
It's very
important
helpful,
thing is
yeah.
you see.
Right.
It's good news. The good
there's
news is-
some other spots in there too.
It's good to
That
bring that some to the front side.
that Tammy and Amy put together that. I'm not sure which one's idea was, but when you get in there farther, there's some
At the end of each fund.
page 9, there's a couple of them, but.
And so going-
Okay, so the next item we start with salaries now.
What page on
What,
We're on page 2 also.
page 2. So it says legislative, then it goes to, starts with supervised department salaries, and then page 3 carries on. What we've been looking at is some incredible inflation that has actually caused a lot of people to have some pretty big heartache with the increase in cost of things. And over the years, we've been pretty careful to not overdo on wage increases, pretty much followed the CPI. And this year, Chief, if we can we talk about firefighters?
Yes, we can talk about
The-
proposals and.
Okay, the math, which I think pretty much relates to the IAFF as well. They made a proposal for a 5% increase. Of which we did not argue with. Because we felt that that was a reasonable, we kind of anticipated that anyways. And so that it seems that it's only fair that if people are getting 5%, then the rest of the employees of the township should get 5%. And so all of the numbers that you see in here are based on a 5% increase.
All right,
So,
can you pause right there?
yes,
So Tammy, I have a question about the meeting. Chief would like to add an item to the agenda. Is that possible?
The board would have to vote to approve it.
Okay,
what do you want to add?
Understanding,
or
letter of understanding.
what you were just talking about.
Okay,
Did they ratify it?
Yes. Both sides.
we could do it on the October meeting,
It's
Which
next
is next
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, all right.
so we'll do that. Remind us.
Send it in. Good luck.
All right, so as you peruse those numbers, that's what it's based on. It's a 5% increase. I just found out, what page is that on?
So you have it written
Yeah.
for the current property taxes 5%? I thought that's what,
No, that's not that one.
okay,
That's,
That's probably,
no, the increase in property tax, but I kept seeing it and I thought this was like,
so anyways, we went through and we adjusted everybody's incomes based on that for salaries. And when I say there might be some tweaking, because we were kind of last minute trying to figure out why some math problems were occurring. We want to make sure that all of the stuff for FICA and the employer payroll tax and contribution health and all that.
the
is correct.
GGP.
So we put the numbers into the spreadsheet that calculates that, and we'll just have to make sure that that comes out right. So there may or may not, I'm assuming there's not going to be any changes in this. So let's see, page 3. I think that in this case, you're probably going to just want to take this and look at those numbers. Rather than going down the line by line. I don't know if you want to take that time, but
I have a quick question. Never
Sure.
even thought about it before, but I'm seeing maintenance up here in the part-time position. With the new township hall and it being like twice the size it was, do we need another position?
we're
More hours?
gonna be looking at that in the future. We'll wait and see how the thing
Yeah.
pans out, but we actually increased the amount for interior and maintenance,
Okay,
which I think is gonna be the significant.
right,
change.
exactly, yeah. That's that's where I'm headed.
That's kind of a significant change. So,
How many hours does Jeremy work now?
The 29.
29?
Well, and we might need a park maintenance person or someone like that too.
yeah, that's actually something that we're gonna have to put some pieces together this in 23
Okay,
to really determine what we're gonna need for moving forward with parks, because we pretty much
Yeah.
milked the parks.
oh, yeah.
And we've gotta make sure we take care of that.
Yeah,
Let's see, we haven't gotten down to
Mm-mm. General government.
general government, so general government,
Question about the assessing department though.
speak up,
I have a question about the assessing department.
and that is,
So you say increase for legal?
yeah, what happens is like this past year, we had to pay for attorneys extra for
To go to MTTA? No, it's a
whatever it
MTT.
is, MTT, Michigan Tax Tribunal,
MTT.
above and beyond what the attorneys we
The
included
assessors.
in there, so.
Okay,
That's just,
Hopefully that was one.
it's a floater and we hopefully don't have to use it, but we got hit with it this year, so we figured we might as well put it in there because pretty good chance somebody's gonna come along and try and
So it was a tribunal thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
okay.
was pressed.
Oh, yeah, it was the golf. Oh, no, I've got nothing.
I think it was, what's your address now?
Oh, maybe we can get on a fire budget. Oh, wait.
Okay, on page 4, there's a couple of things, like if you look down midway between the increase in legal and the other orange parts, this transportation millage, you'll see the 710,000 for payroll. That's the expenditure for the revenue side.
Offsetting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you see the 185,000 it says transportation millage may cover. For general information on this thing, I guess I should discuss this transportation right now because it has potential impact. The county commissioners, with one less than a super majority, including bipartisan, voted in favor of putting a millage language on the ballot in November for a 0.95 mil capture countywide. That's $889,000 from Highland Township residents. And some communities are gonna be paying more. But I think one of the things that we have to look at is I don't like the fact that it's as much money as it is, but we're gonna have to start looking at how do we get people to work. I mean, everybody complains they can't get anybody to work. Well, the people that are left for work don't have vehicles either. I mean, unfortunately, that's what's short. We're short the service sector, the low end service sector. So you can't get people to hospitals. So it's a bus, the whole bus countywide is something that as you know, we're working on WODA and trying to keep that available, and we want to make sure it stays available. And all the way along, we've been talking about how can we get WODA free,
Right.
Not free as in no money, but free from the township's general funds, and make it a more broader. Well, here it is. So in any event, what will probably happen is this will probably pass because the areas that have the majority of votes are the urban areas. And it has a tendency to overpower the outlying areas, which have a tendency to be more Republican, less Democrat. And this is considered a Democrats bill, so, or proposal, although. Anyways, long story short, if the millage goes through, then there's no need to, we can recapture that 185,000 back to the general fund. Because WODA will receive funding to support itself. And it'll also open up the door for WODA to grow. It's going to be a partnership thing. It won't just be SMART. It'll be WODA, NODA, OPC, and SMART. And so it'll be, those are all 4 individual contractors that will work with the county. They'll have the opportunities to select additional areas to cover so that you can get coverage to the entire county. So in the past, it was you opt out, you get nothing. This is no opt out. Everybody will have the opportunity to get something, even though they say they won't. The fact is they will. It won't happen tomorrow because you can't buy enough buses to make it happen. But if it doesn't go through, WODA still has 9 buses that are not SMART buses. They will still continue to operate. We'll have to continue to look at some funding as we are. SMART will go away. And they'll have to recall all of their buses, so they say they will recall all of their buses,
If it does not pass.
right? And so that means all the communities like OPC, which is Rochester, Troy area. They have 28 buses, all smart. They all go away. Holly loses their 2 buses, Groveland loses their 3 buses. Independence loses all their buses,
So this is all or nothing.
right?
See,
So-
the smart villages are expiring.
Okay.
Oh,
So
at the
this is
same
replacing
time?
the smart.
Oh,
This is, yeah,
So it
replace,
covers everything and increases.
right.
Okay.
It's actually less than the smart village. The smart village was 1 point. Oh, I think
But
it
it
was
wasn't
1.
countywide,
It was opt out,
right?
so. So anyways, that's the transportation story. I know that one of the things that has happened is there's a number of outlying communities. Who don't believe that there's a need and who don't think they'll get anything for their quote money. And so they're still trying to fight this. And I think it needs to go to the people, let the people decide. Instead of trying to, make somebody's mind up for them. But I think this is something that if it happens, WODA's prepared. So that's something that I think we've done a good job of as being a member of the WODA board. I think that we've done a good job of making sure that we've actually prepared ourselves in a way that we're protected. And that was by buying buses separately from Smart, because I anticipated this was coming with the RTA or something. So here it is. And we'll hope it works out. So enough on that, unless somebody has any questions.
I have a question on the 710,000.
Okay.
Will you explain that a little bit more? Because I see how it's coming in. Because that's the ARPA money, and then it's going out, but then all the salaries are in here. I thought this was covering payroll, but payroll's in here. You know what?
it
Does that
is.
make sense?
Yeah, so general payroll. So we actually, as far as I know,
It
we
feels like it's out of there twice.
pay the employees. And then out of general fund, we're reimbursing the whole thing.
Right, it's a weird thing because you don't actually recognize the revenue until you spend it, and we're probably not even gonna spend it out of general fund. We'll probably spend it out of capital improvement fund on various projects or whatever as projects get approved.
I mean, I get why you're doing it this way, because it's just easier to report.
Yeah, I'm not
Because
sure
it's
this
one-
is the way it's gonna come out on the final financials,
Okay.
because I think
It
the
looks weird.
the expenditure is gonna be the projects that we end up spending it on. You know what I mean?
This is just a general picture.
So what happens? We've got a number of
So you're
capital.
putting 710 somewhere into capital improvement.
At some point, we'll transfer it over there.
So that's where this is going. Got it.
No,
so.
it's going to pay
It's
for
going to
payroll.
payroll, general payroll,
Yeah, but
which frees up money in our general fund to
for-
pay for other projects.
so we'll end up having a surplus of around 700 extra thousand in general fund.
All right,
So we're reimbursing payroll 710,000.
but you have to show it in the budget.
I thought we did. I mean, I thought it was the right thing because
This looks,
it's in unearned revenue on our balance sheet. And we did have to have it on the revenue side to
Yep.
spend it. So then it felt like it needed
to come out.
to come out, come out in the budget.
So-
Not just so our revenue wasn't blown up 700,000 and we weren't really spending it.
Okay,
So here's how it works. You got a walnut shell here and a walnut shell here, one here, and then move this one to that one and that one to this. one.
Did you,
No,
did you just say what I think you said?
yeah,
sorry. I'm like, okay, I just need to talk about this a little more.
It's not actually gonna get spent out of that line.
Yeah,
No,
It's just showing that it's
the
just an
action that
offset.
happened.
it felt like it was twice, sorry.
right, offsets that.
But I'm getting, the more we talk, and I'm just
Can picture
talking
it.
through, and it's like, okay, now it's It's sinking in.
Yeah, because if we only, because we have to show it in the revenue.
If
once we
you're
bring
showing it in
in.
the revenue, we've got 710 extra.
Right.
So what are you doing?
Right, so this
Take it out.
is just for transparency.
Trustee salaries.
Yeah.
Okay,
Why not?
so let's move on to page 5.
Maybe not.
Oh,
It's not.
you got a little bit, you got 5%, but you do great things for the town, so
Yeah,
don't kick me.
we're fine.
Page 5, the bottom. The rest of these are expenditures, so you can see we added an additional under township maintenance, additional 15,000. Over what we spent last year, of course, last year. Pretty much wiped the building out, so it wasn't much cleaning in there.
Well, we spent 22,000 year to actual today. I mean, it's September 1st.
Yep.
Moving in there, probably.
No, we had to take all that out. But-
Under the equipment capital outlay, which I didn't
Oh,
highlight, but one of the thoughts is to. The chief has, they've got the truck with the plow on it. But I'd rather not have to be using the fire truck plow, let them use it for their own services, and then take one of our 4-wheel drives and put a plow on it or. And then the other thing you see there, the Skytrak Lift. We may, I think we're gonna end up having to spend it on a lift for the inside of the building.
Yeah, yeah.
Get the cobwebs out.
Can't
Yeah.
get nothing up there, it's like. Unless we reverse the fans, and then we could
But you still
levitate.
have to get
I
up
don't know,
there
if
with it.
we'll have to, you guys have to go see these things. There's 2 fans. They're, I think the diameter, they're 10 foot each,
Oh,
and they look like they're right off of an airplane.
Could
in
we back
terms
the
of
fire truck back into the hall and this is.
Hose it, yeah.
oh,
Ladder truck.
his ladder truck.
So anyways, we'll probably have to,
Oh, it's
we'll
all
have to get a lift for in there. So that may be with that.
Closed doors.
close it
That was
down.
kind of the intent on there. The other component that was, when I really thought about this first was that we keep having to pay people to do things with the streetlights. And every time you hire one of these guys, it's $750.
Wow.
So rather than do that, for like, I think it's between 5,000 and 7,000, you can buy a lift, that scissor lift that fits onto the back of the tractor. And you can actually back the tractor up and do the same thing. That way you can actually drive it around instead of those, like the one that's over at the library right now, you have to rent those.
Mhm.
And then you can't drive them on the road. So you have to put them on a trailer.
Mobile.
It costs a lot of money. So this is a way that we could recover its cost within probably just a year or two's time at the most. Especially when we keep doing these street light modifications and stuff, even though the DDA puts the stuff up, the street lights actually belong to the township. We pay for some of the lighting on them and stuff. So it's just one of those things where we need to take care of it.
Right. That's a good investment.
But that's,
Right.
the first one's gonna be the one for the township hall, so. I think that's it on that page. And
Page 6.
page 6, so we have the one highlighted PTO cash payout. What did we do last year?
So, in 21, we paid $1,335. This year, we haven't paid any.
So this is where the employees have a right to take, if they take a
Take
week,
up to a week.
take up to a week.
Paid.
Don't take vacation, they can take the buyout for it and get cash.
That's a provision.
So 18,000 is the maximum that
And nobody took it this year.
is allowable for payouts, so. And nobody took it, so that's an expense that, hopefully you never reach it. This is how you end up
It's a
with
liability though.
Mhm.
money over if we keep everybody running normal. And let's see here. The expenditure under building, electrical, plumbing, heating, That's gone up because there's just been a significant increase in the number of building permits for those types of inspections. And we pay outside
Yeah.
contractors to do those. Now we're gonna get to,
So building dues out and travel, we might consider $10,000 in BSNA training instead
Right,
of
I'm sorry.
buying the building module
right,
for BSNA. It's a software we use that they put all their commits in.
So you'd have training come in from BSNA.
Yeah.
We would talk about that for a while. That's not a bad idea.
okay, so page 7, the first thing that you'll see is, probably shouldn't put those names in there, but
Oh,
the communication wage,
I did it for everybody else.
he's our guy on the other end of the Zoom meeting here. Heidi and myself, I think Jennifer, we looked at this and felt that we think that it deserves to be a $19 an hour wage, which is significantly different than what he's been working for. But well worth it.
I think so too.
He's done a great job, so this is a proposal, it's in the budget. I don't know if we'll have to do, I think if you approve the budget with that knowledge, then,
That's what it goes to.
yep. And let's see, then another one is the maintenance wage. We increase that. And what we're doing is we're looking at all the wages overall, and the activity center has been significantly under all the way along. So we're trying to bring them into the
Yep.
rest of the fold as in this particular application here. So
And you have to look at wages in other fields too. It's like, we want to keep, we need to keep
Well,
up,
and they're part-time,
Yep.
so they don't affect our benefits.
right?
It's based on 52 weeks a year.
52 weeks a year.
Yeah. 15 hours a week for one of them, and yeah.
29. And if we, for instance, I don't know if Justin is he's at 29 hours, but at some point with this new building, we're gonna have some significant changes in. I would like to think that we could have somebody at the table or that could, like tonight, operate everything so it gets recorded and blah, 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 but I don't think that's realistic. We're gonna have to have somebody to manage the audio visual.
Yep.
It's especially with that auditorium the way it is, although that it's amazingly sound efficient. Chris and I were in there
Yeah. we want-
Sunday,
It's pretty cool.
and I stood at the table end.
I was gonna say our church.
Yeah.
If you whisper in the front, you can hear what they're saying in the back.
Well, you could talk and Chris could hear it just as clear as a bell at the other end, so hopefully that continues to be that way. So, all right, so let's move down to the same page. Page 7. Annex building maintenance. We're sitting on a little bit of a time bomb over there. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but sooner than later, but we've got some issues with the septic field potentially, because if you give that building any more use, and the fact that the tank is an original tank, it's wrong, the wrong tank for what the field is. And we got a tree that somebody planted right dead center in the middle of the field.
I didn't do it.
No, I know, but somebody did.
Yes, you
Well,
could.
people don't think about it, you don't think about that stuff, so. I'm anticipating that we're gonna probably have a septic crash and burn. Which I think we'll manage to be able to make it work, so. We added some additional money for that, and then the basement, when we had them quote decontaminated, they stripped it all out and cut all the wallboard out the bottom, but it turns out that it wasn't part of the job to put all the wallboard back.
That's nice.
And it's like,
Half job.
and we've got some flooring. We need to get the floor.
And we had a raccoon living in there for a while.
Yeah, we gotta get the floor
That's nice.
redone and maybe figure out how to waterproof the walls. So there might be some additional expense that will have to be added to that later, but we'll wait and see what we get up on bids and that. But anyways, we got some money set aside for that.
Okay.
Okay, page. Fingers. Page 8. Page 8's a couple of things for zoning and ordinance, advertising, nothing extravagant. We got to finish the ordinance revisions and
Master plan.
master plan, so there's allocations for that. Otherwise, those items, apart from the master plan, wouldn't be in there. And then there's $5,500, of which 2,000 for publishing the master plan and the ordinance revisions. The beauty is we don't have to print those monster books anymore.
Yeah, you have to pay muni code. daily.
Yeah, instead we have to pay them. That's if we pay them.
It is.
Fireworks, minor increase, $1,500. I think
Think everybody
that
loves it.
show, the people that,
Right.
I remember the first time we had it, somebody came up to me and said, that's the best 65 cents I've ever spent. And I go, what? He goes, well, that was my share of the cost of the fireworks. He
Wow.
calculated out what
He
his share of the
knew.
cost of the fireworks was. And I thought that is pretty
That's
intelligent.
cool.
And on that note, I want to go back to the bus thing. And it's because how we present stuff. When you take a millage and you present a millage, so Highland Township will pay $889,000 to public. Because it's not a millage on our books, it's a millage from the county. But that money will still be extracted from the township property owners.
Mhm.
The truth is, the amount's gonna be about equivalent to what you pay for garbage. $100 and some odd a year.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be presented. It shouldn't be
Right.
presented that, Waterford Township's 3 million or 5 million or whatever that number is.
That's too
It
big of a
should be
number.
by individual basis. This is what it'll cost you.
Big numbers scare people.
And
I
it's
don't blame them. You see that big number, but you're right.
You
It
have to
comes
break
down
it
to.
down because that's.
10 trips to McDonald's.
Break it down to $200,000 house.
It makes a huge difference in how you can think about it. And another thing is there's been presentations that say, that I've seen commentaries that, one was from a county commissioner in the spinal column that said that this is going to negatively affect the poor. And I'm thinking, okay, if you don't have enough money to own a house, it's not going to cost you a dime,
Right,
If you can't get anywhere,
but you have a vote, and that's what you really have to look at.
right.
The majority of the people that are going to vote for this are not going to be taxpayers. So that's where the ire gets riled up, is that we're putting something on property owners only. For, and this is where I don't agree with the statement, for those that don't pay. In other words, that's where the term socialism gets brought into things. Oh, it's socialism. Well, if that's what you want to call it, sure. But there is that segment of society that does not and never will own a piece of property. And number one, there aren't enough pieces of property for everybody to have one.
Right.
So if we don't like the way it's collected, then we need to collectively stand up and say, let's do away with property tax. And let's go to some other format. So that's what we need to look at. So look at, if people ask you about it, tell them that, your share could be approximately $130 to $150 or less.
Yeah.
Depending on the value of your home. So there we go.
I'm glad, I was to say about fireworks, I'm glad they're still in there. If I got any legacy when I leave, it's proud that in that firm, they used to come and ask us for money. And I used to hate when you come down Milford and they had the Milford High School and people were collecting money. I just hated that. So I'm so glad that we That was one thing. I remember I talked to some of Rick and Rick said, we'll get in the budget next year. So we did. I'm glad we do it. The fireworks show was outstanding. And it is a great payback to the community. I mean, it's just you can go and enjoy it and not worry about somebody passing the hat around. It's like,
Yeah.
I just can't stand. You always got some goofy guy handing out neon things for their necks and.
That's him.
I know.
They ran out.
I know. It's, oh, no, it's great. I know things like, the kids love it. I mean, it's just it's great. We had a reunion last year at the lift and so we went outside and I was laughing. I go, see what I got for you guys? You know, I said, we put all in for this to have just for our reunion. We could see the fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing. And they were all like, wow.
I know someone that had their graduation party that day.
Yeah.
Our 50th is next year.
Okay, so
Good idea.
on page 9,
Do we want to wait till Joe gets back?
I had
My girlfriend's like,
didn't see it leave.
my phone.
We can.
Not even that old. Crazy. Anyways, I'm glad. I just want to say I think it's a great thing we're doing still. And like I said, it's 65, maybe it's up to 75 cents an hour person, but
and when did we do that? Last Saturday in June.
this is Joe's, like my dad was in the state police a long time ago, and always carried 2 dimes. And somebody would say,
Oh.
I pay your salary, but I go, here's your money back, 20 cents.
We get it all the time.
Oh, yeah, that was great,
Daily.
great move.
And the trash is the biggest. There's no doubt there's been some issues with trash
Compost.
lately.
Well, on little private streets,
get that.
yeah,
Well, and
I
I
know.
totally get it.
And you
It's-
tell them every time.
It's lack of people.
I
Yeah.
said, they don't have
Yeah.
the people. I totally
So
understand.
actually Karen was talking about, so this person kept calling, and she said something to our supervisor, and he said, I followed him into that neighborhood. And he had to leave before he finished. The guy didn't finish the last 4 roads, he just laughed. He's like, I followed him into the neighborhood because we've been having problems, and he's still.
The driver, yeah.
World upside down, man, I'm telling you.
We
Well-
can chat about that elections proposal too.
Okay.
If that passes, we're gonna see significant increases in election costs. 9 full days of early voting. I'll have to staff it with, election
person?
workers.
In
Yes.
person.
Which one, what's,
That's the,
I guess I didn't know.
it's promote the vote. I forgot what number it was.
Proposal 1.
All early voting like other
One,
states.
two.
So it
Yeah.
has several aspects to it, but early voting is a major aspect.
See, I thought absentee ballot was early voting, or not
Well,
early voting, but.
That's
A lot
some
of
people
states, they
call
have-
it
they
that.
have polling
Early
places.
voting
Months.
is when you have a tabulator, you have a precinct set up.
Oh,
That's what we're talking about.
And we would set it up, probably in the auditorium at the township, and then for 9 full days. And then not only do I have election workers running it, but we have to have people in the office for all 9 days. And that includes 2 full weekends on either side of a week.
so Joe, we're talking about a proposal on the ballot about
Early voting.
elections. And we would have to have 9, if it
You
passed,
have to staff.
yeah, 9.
It's controlled because everybody's there and you're coming in voting in person. but
Right.
It's a lot of time spent.
Well, if that's what it takes to get people to believe it's real, then
That seems like there's
Yes,
It's
that's
way
what we
to
gotta do.
staff it though.
seems like that's way more
So-
states.
Yeah, it's just one more place to stay.
You got states that are like a month or 2 early. I don't know. I never get that. It's like, wow. What's the point of election day? That's my, when I talk to my students, I go, what's the point of election? Day? Election day is election day.
You have to vote by this day.
I understand some people have to stand in line. That's why you vote.
This year.
I think it was mentioned before, but a few years ago, I went to Peru. And it was right in the middle of their election for their new president and everything. And so we were asking some questions with, how do you run your election? So their elections are mandatory. Everybody has to vote. If you do not vote, there's a $5,000 equivalent in American dollars, $5,000.
How do they
Fine.
collect that?
It's then people, they know who votes. Everybody's registered. If you're out of the country, you have to fly back and vote.
There's no absentee.
No
Oh,
absentee.
my Lord.
So
Good gravy.
if you want to make sure that your elections are by the people, That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Or you give everybody make it a holiday or a common day that is not in the middle of the week at a weird time or whatever. And everybody gets it off. But we tend to have this thing where we want to run all over the place willy-nilly, trying to have, everybody's got a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
It should be a common way.
Yeah, if a vote is important to you, then you make the time to vote.
Exactly.
I agree that maybe it shouldn't be a Tuesday, because people that must work is another problem, unless you declare an election holiday.
That's
Yeah,
not a
that'd be-
bad idea.
Well, I
See,
mean,
we have
but we have
all-
more than one election a year. It's not like it's just one day, you know.
That's federal elections.
Yeah,
I should
The
make that
primary
clear.
is this federal election too.
Yeah, federal elections. So
Yeah,
anyways, okay, so we'll get back to the budget here. That's all good information.
thank you, Tammy. I didn't
yeah, thank you. I didn't
realize.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying me.
I didn't read that language on that.
There
one.
are sample
I thought
ballots
really
available at your
voting
town
meant-
hall.
Oh, you have sample ballots already?
Yeah.
So you can read
If you
the
come to the thing tomorrow, you can get one.
the legalese and this thing, is something else. Okay, on page 9. Page 9. Is in the bright green is a summation of, and pay attention to the right column. That's the proposed
For 2023.
for 2023. And what you'll see is that the net revenue over expenditures is 408,000. So we're staying well in the black, so to speak, with this budget as presented, excluding, the other things that come after it.
Yes, fund balances are stable. which is good.
What's that?
The
Yes,
fund balances are stable.
Yep. So the ending fund balance will be $2.466 million. Or more. Depending on how things go in our new town hall. Then we can move on to road fund and. It's pretty much,
Is there any changes in any of those?
yeah,
explanatory.
so, transfer, we're from capital. It's been 100,000, we're only bringing in 19 because we're taking 26 from metro funds. To pay for the chloride. So we got to reduce that, 203, 401, yes.
Okay, now.
So then under general, we have the
I
transfer
think-
in 19,000.
We need to go, is there anything else beyond that?
We're gonna talk about capital.
Fire,
Get fire,
please. Matt will be giving a presentation, Lieutenant Snyder will be giving a presentation Monday. The October meeting,
for,
but
we're not doing
that's for police,
Matt.
Lieutenant.
Sorry, yeah.
I think helpers.
Okay, so, police, we'll get that from the sheriff's mouth. Then we'll move down to page 13.
Refuge.
So that'll be, refuse fund.
This is the.
We've
revenue.
been chewing down the fund balance pretty good when we do those,
Answering.
Yeah,
hazardous
so if you look
waste
at
things.
14, that better describes
So on page
it.
14, that kind of gives you an idea there. So we're probably in 2024 gonna have to look at a increase in trash. Cost of trash, not. So when you think about how much it costs a week to pick the stuff up, it's like, how can you say anything about it?
$165 is less than it was in like 1994.
Yeah,
It was $168 then. So
in $1994.
exactly,
So
bargain of a lifetime.
let's see, I think in 1980. A $1980 today would be $12.
They would like it.
So it's hard to keep that in mind.
is there any way to reduce the hazardous waste cost? I mean, it's just basically that's what we're kind of dealing with.
So you.
I mean, not besides people, neighborhoods combining like that.
So
Are we
it's
still,
not per vehicle
we're not doing,
anymore.
oh, I got you. Okay.
So it's
all right.
per pound. So yes, there is a way to do it. So the best way to do it is promotion.
Street.
No promotion and letting them know, education,
Yeah,
and letting them know that latex paint is not hazardous.
Right.
If we got the latex paint to stop coming, I could give you, I'll look up for those numbers. That's huge.
okay.
It's a lot of weight.
And it's not hazardous. All you do is open the can,
Let
put
it
kitty
dry.
litter in, let it dry, sit it out at, not oil based.
Yeah,
Latex.
right. No, I got you.
And you put it at the road and if the trash company sees it with dry, no lid, they will take it. They won't take liquid paint because
Yeah.
it runs out their
Sure.
truck.
That's good. I mean, the education part's important. To say,
Yeah.
we'd like to spend this money elsewhere and not here. And
That's a big chunk is the latex. And then, like batteries, alkaline batteries are not hazardous anymore.
Other than
Rechargeable are, I mean, we looked online as much as we could. And
that,
it's,
so you just throw your alkaline batteries in the garbage.
yeah, but rechargeable you would take to a battery store.
If they'll take them.
Computers, so. There's a different view on computers, so an old computer monitor might have some metals in it
Okay.
and stuff, you can throw it. In the dump, but some people feel that you can't. So, and then those TVs with the tubes, those used to have some precious metals in them too. So,
Well, those are still out there. Not too many.
So
Okay, I think it'd probably smart to an education portion.
what it's looking like though is to do the next hazardous waste probably gonna be about $85,000. And
this one was 82,
so
this doesn't reflect that, but there was, we
Okay.
did do a budget amendment.
So the next one would be like in,
2024. Well, that far away, huh? Okay.
that's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
so we'll take 23 off
10 years, Brian,
and then we'll do them.
you got in already, so 2024 is tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Tell me about it.
hang on for the ride, it just goes faster.
I know.
Okay, so let's see, the total refuse, so our
Don't
ending
have-
fund balance is 246, 196.
Talk about-
So you
Time
can
goes
see where we can,
fast.
at $85,000, you can eat that up pretty quick.
Yeah, right.
Wake up.
Refuse. Okay, capital improvement fund. Let's see here what we've got. I didn't get into this and the highlighting stuff. Because we didn't.
Oh, and I didn't do appropriation fund balance on this one.
So I think what we're gonna do is we'll wait till the next, we'll clean this up because I can see a couple things that we might have to change in that.
Capital improvements.
In capital
Yeah,
improvement, so
production.
we'll hold off on making any commentary. You can see in it that we put in money for repair of the pass at Hickory Ridge. I'm seriously thinking of eliminating the asphalt and going to a real fine grade limestone like they use in the state park.
Mhm.
Can you rollerblade on
Can't roll it. You could, but it's not.
Wipe out.
it? I think that's
I'm
what
not
we
talking
want.
about Duck Lake. I'm talking
No,
about
Hickory Ridge. I think that's one of the big uses.
Well,
I know, I get it. No, I
There's
feel
a
like
point where you
I've
have to-
seen,
you have to balance how
I've
many
seen both
people are
sides.
using it
I've
versus
seen
how
both
many
sides.
are not. Well,
We did.
here's an interesting thing. There's a pickleball has become a huge.
Right.
So when I was down in Georgia, there's the town that we're in, it's called Blairsville. It's not a very big town. But it has a huge population of people who came from the north, went to Florida, and chose not to go any further north than North Georgia. In Tennessee and North Carolina. It's a population of retirees.
Mhm.
And they all get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, they go play pickleball. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of pickleball courts.
Yeah, it's not a sophisticated game, so.
No, because you don't have to run around as much. It's a hard paddle with a wiffle ball with a special surface on it. And you basically just have to go like this. It can get pretty aggressive. But everybody that I get, these people are members of pickleball groups that want to make sure we need pickleball courts. Well, there's still tennis players that want tennis courts. if you balance the number of people that play the game to the cost of the courts,
They would be paying 10,000 a
it's
person.
not, yeah, it's not, it's kind of hard, it's hard for me to make that analysis and say we need to build these things when so few people use them. Well, riding around on a motorcycle, I'd go past these courts at different times in the day.
And they're always loaded.
After 12 o'clock, they're in a body on them, too hot.
Yeah,
So now you have half a day or more, and they're not lighted at night necessarily because of that, they don't want to pay that expense, and they're also not. They just had their cocktail at 3 and they're out cold by 5, you know, so.
That's retired.
Shade and lights.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of these things where, yeah, it's a big thing going on now, but how do you,
Right.
At what cost?
yeah, what cost do you do it? Well, anyways, I think we're gonna get, you know, if we get the cell tower put in there, we'll have resources to cover something like that. So, but until then, it's gonna be hard to, you know, we'll convert the tennis court to have dual painting, which the pickleball guys hate because.
You have to bring your own net. If you do the dual painting, you have to bring your own net. I've
Why?
heard, because the lines are off.
No, that's the same spot.
So you'll have to research it. I've had several people call me and tell me.
There's a
that
pickleball court up in
Central
Seven
Park.
Harbors.
Oh,
Somebody has their own, so we just maybe say they can rent that out to people.
Yeah.
Which-
I guess Central Park has one in Milford.
Yeah, there's one up in there. Somebody has they have a driveway, they have a little court right there.
So here's the USA pickleball
So.
rule book. I mean, I got all the stuff on it here. I've been looking at it. It's a matter of the size of the court. The net's the same height,
Start
It is
slipping
the
on a pickle, so that's.
so it doesn't really matter.
It helps you get the
That's
ball
part
over.
of the challenge, you throw pickles in the court.
So anyway,
So anyways, there's some money in there to
yeah,
repair paths. $15,000 will not resurface a path with asphalt. Ain't gonna happen. And then the other part of it is if you've looked at any of the asphalt that's put anywhere, it dies so fast that, to me, it makes more sense to go with a aggregate path that's hard packed. Is ADA qualified.
and then
Because the one over there at the state park is an ADA path. You can ride bikes on it, you can ride off-road skateboards. They even have those electric skateboards and things like that.
every
So-
once in a while, you have to, and excuse my language, fluff it or like redo it. So if the weeds grow through it at all,
You have to weed kill it,
oh, yeah.
but it's just as easy to weed kill that as to try to get weeds out of the
Oh,
cracks
no, it's not.
or the roots from the trees that are jacking the asphalt up out of the ground, you know.
what did we decide with the roller rink?
We're
And
gonna
we have
resurface
the
that, but we're not doing that this year.
So we're not doing that in 23,
No,
but
No.
23.
We're
in
not.
22.
in 22 we're not. We're
Right.
doing the other two yet this fall. That's a decision for the later today. The last item there, E.
Okay,
And then we'll have them painted in the spring.
okay, but
They'll get
but
fixed.
the roller, I had somebody ask me about that and I'm like, we discussed it, but.
Are we gonna put it in for 23's budget then?
Yeah, 25,000 is in here for, oh, that's the research.
Resurfacing and
So
paint.
this is what I'm getting at. This is one we gotta work on some more. So,
I see there's no money for the bike paths at 59, so where does that money come from if there's a problem? There's nothing right now, it's in great shape, but what if there's a repair needs to be done or whatever, does it just come out of general fund then?
at that point, we do wait till there's an issue with repair and then pull it out of general fund, and make it.
Right.
I mean, we should be able to get a few years out of that pathway.
It's still in really good, I haven't been on since early August, but yeah, it's still in really good shape.
The most difficult part is by that piece that's by the guardrail at J Chevrolet in LaFontaine. It's down here, the road's up here, gravel between it. Every time it rains, it washes gravel over the top of it.
We go sweep it.
So
So,
there and down past by McDonald's,
Yep.
that's pretty full of, I noticed every day it was pretty full of stuff.
Oh, I'll let Jeremy know.
I cleaned all that up one time and within a week.
Well, it
it's
doesn't
all
take
bad.
much, yeah, it's a lot of, just, there's not much room, plus you got all that dirt, and,
And it's dangerous
yeah, it is.
because that's a corner that if I don't have police there, you can't do it. People will kill you. And that should be an MDOT thing. Oakland County should be out there cleaning that up.
I can normally get them to do it if it's the stuff that comes down from the DT, or I get DTE to do it from the,
That's a different,
oh, that's not right there. In front of
in fact,
McDonald's.
I usually clean that one up.
Down past the railroad bridge, by the railroad bridge and beyond, it's just all the way up to the whatever business that is there with the dirt path, road goes up.
Yeah,
there.
that's DTE.
It's pretty, yeah, it just gets all,
Yeah.
just all.
Sometimes I can call them and get them to clean it up.
Last time I rode by there in my car, I left all right, there's a lot of stuff, I thought, man, I don't have bike, I see the wiping out in there, so.
So, all right. So let's see what else we got. Fire capital. revenue.
Oh, no, it's every year.
No, me.
DDA, we're not gonna get their
Oh, okay.
information for a bit yet, so. And that brings us to the post-retirement benefits. Anything we need to talk about on that, ladies?
What page are on?
That's
The 18, Joe.
Page 18, yeah.
I didn't know what to do for appropriation fund mailing. Okay, so I got
It's
that.
just the difference between the
Okay.
revenue and.
Where's the retirement? Trustees
But
retirement.
one-
There's none.
We used to,
Did you say
yeah, that's my first start.
Oh
We got,
my gosh, you guys did.
what happened?
It was crazy.
I think I signed up for that sucker.
But I was-
I didn't like, I mean, for 4 years we got, the first 4 years we got.
Before you guys, I'm almost 90% positive the board had healthcare.
Mhm.
Well, they did, but it was cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs next to nothing.
Right.
Like the 80s or something.
There's nothing cheap anymore.
Nothing.
Nothing.
no,
That's
tell me
why
about it.
people don't retire.
All right, so anybody have any basic questions to start here?
Well, the bottom line looks like the new budget shows that we're gonna spend less than we are coming in.
Yep.
Yes.
We got the sales tax. Cool.
Yep.
Where's that coming from?
State, that's sales tax on a
The
statewide
6%.
basis. And we get a share of that revenue. And it's on a formula that I have no idea how that formula is calculated.
No, they do a formula based on population, I'm sure size. And probably other things.
That was less to see that.
It's on-
Yeah, if we had a recession, it could go down.
That is our biggest, yeah, funder. revenue.
Which is kind of why you don't want to chase car dealerships out of your neighborhood. I know a $60,000 vehicle at 6% is revenue you won't get off of selling nuts and bolts, you know. So, although we are the car dealer capital of Oakland County right now.
I
know
don't
why.
think it makes us look bad at all.
No,
I think
no. They're all nice dealerships. They're all,
they should be on M59.
it seems like we get a lot of people that come in and Highland House benefits. I mean,
Good,
people go there to buy a car and end up eating.
good.
Or eat and then go buy a car, whatever. All right, so
Weekend and then go buy a car.
Yeah.
Or they need a drink after they buy.
We need a motion to approve the.
no,
No.
unless you want to.
Is there anything you want to see in
No,
it?
we're not ready for that. I can see some things. One is the capital
Capital,
improvements. I want to make sure. And the capital improvements doesn't affect the other one because this is money we've already set aside. So this is there's a fund there and we have to look at, so the ending balance on that is 470,000. No, that's DDA.
oh geez.
Where'd it go? Is $625,000.
And that's after, I mean, look at 2022, that's after building the township hall. Because most of it came from there.
So there's still a significant amount of money in there that we need to really look
Yeah,
at. some
I don't know
other
if that's
improvements. There's other things we can move
Yeah.
forward with. So the parks are definitely, we've pushed them to their limit on self-support, so to speak.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. we
And
need to
the stuff's just wearing
maintenance
out,
stuff.
so
Yeah,
we've gotta start looking towards the future, so.
put some money into those.
All right, so
Manpower.
on that note, we'll move on to the next item,
I really.
which is a Request to purchase a fire engine.
Was that with white wall tires or not?
I think there's pictures.
There are pictures of the request. Just real quick, 2020, we had a catastrophic failure of a frame rail on engine 2, which is the east side of the township engine. At the time, it wasn't with the pandemic and everything just starting. It wasn't time to purchase a vehicle. Unfortunately, because of supply chain issues and the increase of everything, we've seen a 40 to 50% increase in vehicle costs, not only in regular cars, but in fire trucks.
That's
Which is worse.
ridiculous.
And you're also looking at anywhere from an 18-month to a 28-month delivery date. We did run across, we had a truck committee set up with the new Station 2 opening, we had a truck committee set up that we wanted to prepare for a vehicle that would suit that area. That area has a lot of tighter areas or tighter turns, tighter radiuses. One of them being Flint Drive, which goes up into a peninsula, Duck Lake. We wanted to make sure we had a vehicle that could respond to these areas. We did stumble across a demo vehicle from Rosenbauer. It met most of the targets that we wanted for the apparatus. This is a demo vehicle, so it's got some miles on it, but the big benefit is we don't have to wait 18 to 24 months, right? And it's not going to cost us $550,000 to $600,000 to purchase. It's going to be under $400,000 with all the equipment that we need to add to it to put it in service. We do have the funds available in our capital fund balance. What we're asking for this year is a deposit, $40,000 deposit. And then we'll pay the remainder of it next year in our from our capital fund. And you'll see during my presentation where all that lines up at.
Looks like a nice truck.
It does.
All right, so the chief can't make a motion, so somebody needs to make a motion to either approve or deny.
I would make a motion to support the acquisition or purchase of the new fire vehicle,
Support how?
with or without white walls, of course.
So actually, I probably should have. We should look at the bottom line here. What we're really doing right now is kind of a twofold thing.
Yes.
So the first thing we're going to need to do is to approve the purchase of a vehicle
Okay,
not to exceed
400,000.
400,000.
I make a motion to purchase vehicle not to exceed the price of $400.
Support. Okay, moved and supported. Any further discussion on that one? Okay, so vote please.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Yes,
Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Charles votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries. Now the next budget.
Okay, the next part is
That's that's the next item.
40,000.
Budget.
Oh, for the budget
Budget.
amendment.
so we need to, I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment for $40,000 or whatever that,
As a-
how that thing
As
comes out.
presented from fire camp.
As presented.
Cooper support.
Okay, moved and good.
Ready to vote?
Vote,
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Charles votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Yay.
Okay, the next item, the PowerPoint presentation for fire department budget. That's been canceled due to lack of time.
Do we need to take a break?
I gotta figure out what I did with it, chief.
You guys are-
Let me find
I
it.
thought this would be really, really quick.
It looks
Hold on,
nice and quick.
I gotta find out what I did with it.
And if it's not, don't worry. You gotta explain what you're doing.
If it's not written, just like we do with the last one, just push it forward.
I tried to take his finger from him. It was so annoying. I could see him doing it,
Sean.
advancing the slides.
Let me see here, where did I put
Fortunately,
it?
Sean was the last one. Unfortunately, Sean was the last.
Yeah, I gotta clear my desk here so I can get this thing.
Good support.
So right now, just the rehash, that fire truck is about $363,000 in change. And then when you get a electric van like we had, like kind of everything's going to thermal imaging camera, the stuff that we need to put on that apparatus. It'll be under 1,000. But it's a heck of a deal considering what the price of
Okay.
I never want to buy a new vehicle. Again,
I didn't.
nice.
All right, almost there.
I just want any vehicle.
Let's see if we can get it cleaned up here with all this other stuff on the screen. All right, so slideshow. Where is the play button on this thing? Okay, how do I
Just
make
click
it?
on the first slide.
Oh, there you go, that's what you get.
And
Is that how it works? Or does it?
I'm gonna go to slideshow.
I'm in slideshow.
I'll click on that and play from start.
There it is.
I'm trying to find the play, but I'll play from start. There it is. Oh, these stinking.
There you go.
Hopefully it's not timed.
All right, now. We're just gonna do a real quick presentation of our budget for the 2023 fiscal year. If at any point during the conversation you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me. I do have a spot after each 206 and 402 budget for questions as well. I spent any opportunity you guys give me to showcase my staff. I try and do it. We've talked over the years about our 5-year plan. We've talked about some of the changes that have been imposed on us. Run volume, collapse of EMS. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that we've experienced over the last few years.
Oh, too quick.
No, that's perfect. No. What you have now is an all-hazardous emergency response agency that provides ALS transport to the community. What does all hazards mean? That means that anything that is going to happen in town, we're capable of responding. Firefighter Becker is our representative of the hazmat team. We've got a representative from the IMT team, incident management team. We've got a representative from Tech Rescue. We try and get our staff trained to be capable of dealing with any situation we may run into.
We have the hazmat truck here, don't we?
We do have the hazmat truck on the west side.
Okay. Next.
At the beginning of the budget preparation period, we get a email from Treasurer's Office. I did add this green line right in here. And obviously this year we approved a 1.85 millage. If we had that millage right now, this is what it would be collecting based off of this number. That is just for informational purposes. Yellow is our operations budget, and blue is our fire capital budget. We're gonna go to Fire Fund 206 first, that'll be just for operations. Okay? This is where we start off with our.
I'm looking at my screen.
You guys see the same?
Yeah.
Joe, on your way.
I can steer it.
So this is going off of our revenue. Tax collections. Cost recovery for EMS transports, a small amount for interest on our fire fund reserves. So we expect to generate 1.6 for operations this year. 85% of all my expenses for the department are personnel, whether it's payroll tax or overtime or just employee costs, education, uniforms, everything that we spend, 85% of it is payroll. This is just a small portion of it. We talked earlier with the 5% increases. I didn't know mine was in there yet, but there was 5% increase for the full-time spots as well as our paid on call for 2023. That's already been planned into our budget. The next line,
Hang on a second here. Are you planning on including yours in that? Or is that something you're hoping we'll do for you?
I didn't put that in there yet because I didn't know. Mine is based off of the board's vote. The others are, me neither. The others are negotiated benefits.
Right,
So paid on call, our math bargaining group, I have that for the full employees.
And you're not.
So you'll have, yours is every year is the same.
Yes, he,
No, this is 2021.
So from 22, 20 and 23 are the same,
yes, he did not put the 5%.
right? You have no increase marked for yourself.
Correct.
I didn't know what the increase was.
Right.
So since I didn't know yet, when I presented the.
okay, so we'll correct those in the budget. You guys will get at the next
There'll
meeting.
be a couple of other anomalies in here because I was working off old Excel programs compared to what.
That's never happened before.
Okay, you ready? I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention so they understand.
Well, and did you talk about the 3 new employees?
Oh, shoot, thank you so much.
Sorry.
Too late. No.
Oh,
So the 2023 fiscal year, I am requesting to hire 3 additional firefighter paramedics. Our run volumes, as we've talked over the last couple of years, have just increased. The type of services we're providing for the community have just, it's drastically increased from what we were providing before. So this year I am asking for 3 additional employees. And then we have a couple other things that are highlighted in here. Everything's pretty much in the same realm. You'll see a couple significant increases that's based on contractual changes. Going from a certain percentage the previous year, 5% this year. Big changes are gas and oil expenses. I'm sure everybody else is experiencing pain at the pump, just like the fire department is. So we did plan on about a 40% increase next year. Insurance and bonds, workman's comp, everything else, we are anticipating a bump in that, another bump in radio communications. Every 3 years, we sign a contract with local county sheriffs to provide dispatch services. They base those dispatch services on the amount of runs that we had in the previous 3-year period. We're gonna see a pretty big bump this year, which I think is this should be the next year for the 3-year contract. We're gonna see a pretty big bump in it because we've gone from 14 runs a year to probably over 1900 this year. I didn't account for all of it yet because there's a lot of other stuff in the radio communications, radios, batteries, stuff like that that we're getting with our radio system for Oakland County. Oakland County is getting ready to go into new communication system. That should be rolling out here pretty soon. We should have those expenses. And then utilities. We added 50% on the utility expenses because Station 2 will be opening and will be operational all year the following year. So at the end of the budget, we're looking at expenses of approximately $2.036 million. As I said, green is what we would have been expected to generate from the millage. 1.716, 350 for cost recovery for EMS, 10,000 interest in investments, 2,076,357. What we're expecting to generate this year is $2,036,258. So we're going to exceed what we're actually collecting, $1.6 million for collections for operations this year. I'm asking to spend $2.036 million for 2023. We can do that because we've been very blessed with
But I think that means.
Oh.
Next.
our fund balance. Currently, right now, we're looking at a fund balance of approximately 1.342 million dollars. Best practices says we should have a fund balance of 40 to 60% of our fund balance of our operations account. If we're looking at 40 to 60% of our current operating account, we'd be looking at 800 to 1.2 million dollars. While I'd love to wait till next year to increase the staff size, my guys are getting beat up really bad. The increase in run volume and everything else is just, we can't wait any longer. We were expecting the 5-year plan to roll out and it would have played perfectly into when 1.85 kicked in. Unfortunately, as we've talked in the past, our 5-year plan ended up coming to fruition in about 2.5 years. So my request is to draw the 435,000 out of our fund balance for next year's operation.
Was that a clue?
To move on the page.
Yeah.
So if we take 435,000, we'll be short. Put it up into our fund balance and we'll be able to balance our budget for next year. And again, I left the 1.85 in there just to show what we would have collected if we had that millage coming this year. There was a lot of conversation when we went out for the new millage, 1.85, is it enough? Is it enough? There was a lot of discussion at the board table. It's enough for us to operate where we need to be at right now. It would be great to have a little more, and that would have been a great request. But we saw the increase in the, Rick talked about earlier, the inflation rates. We talked a little bit earlier about the gas prices. Utility expenses across the board are increasing for everybody. We didn't think now was the time to ask for any more than what we actually needed to operate our department. So if we pull the 435,000 out of our fund balance, that'll get us through to the 2024, which we'll be collecting the new millage rate at that time.
Got it. I have a question.
Yes.
So the three employees that you hired, will they be included in station 2?
We'll have 3 employees here, 2 employees at station 2. This will create a shift of up to 5 personnel a day. So you'll have 3 full-timers a day, supplemented by 2 paid on call. Currently, we have 2 full-timers, 2 paid on call per shift. Right now, if we can get staffing. Once we open station 2, we want to have both stations staffed with minimum 24/7. The full-timers work 24-hour shifts, paid on call work 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
But they work 24 hours a day. So day shift and night shift for paid on call as well.
Chief, can you still see if you move this way a little bit? So you're this way.
Oh, so you can hear me?
Yeah.
See you.
Well, we need
The microphone can
the
hear. you.
microphone here. Switch over here or whatever, get closer, but make it so you can see your screen.
You're good.
So again, going off the unencumbered fund balance for January 2022, we anticipate $1.342 million. This year, we're expecting to exceed our expenses again because our run volume has increased because we've experienced a lot of unexpected gas prices spiking the way they did, utility costs, gas and electric, both spiking the way they did. Plus, just the run volume is what's really killing us. So we're expecting up to about $250,000 in overages from this year. Again, as I talked earlier, the township goal is to maintain a budget fund balance of 40 to 60%. Government Finance Office Association recommends it has to be maintained at least 16.7%. We're well above that. Again, tying into the fund balance, if we take the $435,000 away for next year's operations, That's gonna take us down to $607,000, which is below 40% where we want to be at. It takes us to just under 30% of our fund balance. Now we're gonna get into the American Rescue Plan. The township received approximately $2.1 million. And according to ARPA definition, the city can use ARPA funds to address negative economic impacts caused by public health emergency. Most of our overruns are because of the negative economic impacts of the health emergency. We lost a private ambulance company that was providing the EMS service to our community in 2020. That's been the catalyst behind us having to hire people to staff that business for us, or that operation for us. And the numbers just keep going up and up and up. It's really had a drastic impact on our department. So my request is, if we can share some of the ARPA funds to help get us into the right fund balance to operations ratio. Board was generous enough to give us $35,000 for SCBA bottles in July 11th of 2022. And then I'm going to request today another $250,000 for support of our fund balance or for our operations for this fiscal year. That'll bring our total contributions of ARPA funds at $285,000. And if you look at our overall share of revenue in the community, we operate off of 17% of the community's contributions. 17% of the $2.1 million would be $357,000. We are totally in support of all the ideas that the township has with investing in our internet system. Trust me, especially with Station 2 right now, we're really interested in us investing in the internet system. Water, sewer, whatever we can do to promote our community, we want to be behind the support. But because of the impact of the national or the global pandemic on our department over the past couple of years, we asked for a portion of the ARPA funds to be contributed to our budget. I contributed $250,000. That'll bring us up to $857,000 for an anticipated fund balance at the end of the 2022. I'm sorry, 2023 fiscal year. This was just something I had added in there. If our budget's approved and we get to hire 3 additional people, we may not be able to hire all paramedics right now. We have 5 or 4 or 5 in our medic class right now. Anticipated to graduate next December. If we do hire a basic, they'll have to assign a. Whoops. No, sorry. They'll have to sign a conditional offer. Basically, that means that they have to get their paramedic license before they can be considered a true full-time employee. They'll be on a probationary period for that time. Okay. Are there any questions about 206?
Yeah, if we hire a provisional probationary medic, they're still a full-time employee.
Yes.
They're just at a lower rate.
Lower pay rate, and then if they don't pass their test, then
And they can't continue.
they can't continue.
Okay.
Can you go back to this slide, Rick? So the revenue percentages, I'm not understanding, because are you saying that township general fund collects 35% of the total revenue?
On that budget number. So
Oh,
it includes all like the. sales.
Where did you get your revenue numbers
No.
from?
we didn't get that. Oh, from the
My
table.
chart.
Oh, okay, because the township takes in general, 556,000. You taken under fire under operating takes in 1.2, so you taken double of what we did.
He's including state shared revenue and all of our other
Oh,
revenues.
Yeah,
he must be.
He
It's
has
our
my
pie
property
chart.
tax.
It's our pie chart. Our pie chart that we do.
The pie chart says the general fund is 2%.
Not since you left, Judy.
Did you change it?
No, I would not change it unless the number.
were you considering all revenues or just property
He doesn't
tax
know because he
revenues?
used the pie chart,
I got the information from.
the treasurer, yeah. So I'll have to look, see what the pie chart.
We'll have to look. It's something like.
Cause you actually, yeah, taken double of what the township takes in just for operating. So, okay, that was my only concern and we'll look into it.
And I would think that the, going off of the expenses, $4 million, I
Mhm.
mean. It would be about 35%. I understand where that's also. Cell phone tower revenue and everything else.
Yes, so, all right, got it.
Any other questions? I'm supposed to-
So. In red there, you are as the fire chief requesting. Or asking for assistance from the township of the ARPA funds of 250,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When I read it first, I didn't see that. But then when you, because I thought you were applying for something else.
No.
But then when you talked about it, I understood that.
Well, we're certainly gonna have to look at the impacts of that request. Okay. Any other questions?
No, looks good.
Pretty simple.
Clean.
And the 40 to 60%, just to clarify, is township policy. We voted to make that policy. You know what I mean? The government, GFOA, that might be their opinion, but.
No,
it's not
GFOA is, that's what we say is a minimum.
Right,
Our township policy for
it's 40 to 60%.
Well, what that indicates is that you've, and don't take this wrong in any way, you've made the choice to overspend
Yes,
by hiring new people.
yes.
So that choice could be delayed for a year, just because, say, there's no money available. That's how you have to make that decision making, so. The ask is worthy of an ask, and so I think we're gonna have to look at it and see what else, how does it affect what we're attempting to do as an entire township. As well, because you've asked the community to cough up a millage that, when I look at other communities, they asked for a lot more and got more, and maybe I think you were realistic and not trying to request too much out of our taxpayers, and I think that you give more than what they paid for. And I think that's what it's all about. That's why it gets voted in, but I think that's, you've got to, because it's a separate component of the community paid for by millage. We have to treat it, kind of look at it that way, so.
I don't like realistic. I think sympathetic is a better analogy for why we went to 1.85 instead of 2 or 2.5, 2
Or 3, or, I mean, there's communities out there that, Milford was much more than that, so.
Right.
You know,
You could have
and
done
I
an increase.
appreciate that, so.
What's that?
You could have done like an increase for this year, probably.
I don't think we,
23.
yeah, I don't think we could have. Oh, like 2 million.
Separate millage question. We could have done that. I mean, it's water under the bridge now.
Look,
I was cutting it.
You were cutting edge there.
What? I understand why you did it, but we truly, we got caught in the storm. Everything kind of fell into place and kind of ran us over pretty quick, a lot quicker than I expected. Yeah.
And a lot of our residents same, and I think it was a very.
Yeah.
Sympathetic decision.
all right, so
World two. Simple, same thing. This is what we are anticipating for property tax collection for the 402 budget. I didn't put any additional stuff in there. There are a couple of anomalies in the previous 2023 that aren't accurate, but this is what we're anticipating for this year's budget.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Again, fire truck, 400,000 plus,
Less 40 or whatever,
was,
Yeah, we have to budget for it in both years.
right?
so 400,000, there may be, depending on what happens with the 206 budget, there may be another request later on in the year for another support vehicle. Capital equipment, 153,000, there's
Man,
two signs, sign for station one, which would be a digital sign. Sign for station two, which will be just a standard simple sign, but they're gonna match what the township's doing for other properties in the community. Placement of fire gear, there's a few ancillary items on 153, capital improvement purchases. And then there's our principal service for debt and principal service for interest on our house payments, basically for fire station one and fire station two. And then I was told that there's another
it's 500.
amount in one there. It's anticipating spending $1.098 million
we're getting that because of
this
this.
year.
The bond.
It's bonds.
Oh,
So what we're taking in is the millage
right.
to pay the bonds mostly. And capital.
So we are anticipating pulling out $200,000 from this year's reserve fund, which will drop us down to 404. Starting beginning fund balance of 606, drop us down to 404. So we'll still be at 40% of our fund balance for this fiscal year.
I'm like, wait a minute, the expenditures are way over the. But you're showing that.
Yep.
In the final budget, you just have to. Show it.
Yeah.
So this is what we're gonna spend. That's what we're
Appropriate
bringing in.
fund balance.
200,000, 201. Anticipated over revenues, but we have 606,000 in the reserve fund.
Well, that's why the fund balance is there.
Yep.
Okay, you ready? Any other questions on that?
So this one's not capital, so.
Much in your capital fund balance, do you know right now?
This is what's scheduled to be at the
Oh, there
end
we
of
go.
the year.
Okay, thank you.
There's gonna be a transfer in for the completion station two.
Okay.
Fire capital right now in cash. Is 1.1 million in in all of its funds.
Well, we still have
But
to
we
pay
still
for the
have
rest of
it.
the year.
Yeah.
Is what's the last payment? 300.
270, yeah.
Okay,
So you made a comment about another vehicle in 2023?
Potentially, if we do hire three personnel, the idea is to create a ship commander vehicle. And then that'll be staff for the day.
So in the projected budget that you did, would that erase the engine you wanted to get in a couple of years?
Nope,
So what kind of vehicle are we talking?
we're talking,
Like the one that does your plow?
I can pick up.
Okay,
No, so
so approximately 70,000. No? Have you looked at pickup trucks?
No.
it'll be less than 60,000.
Okay, 6, all right.
all right.
And that's in 2023. possibly.
I
Okay,
don't know if this really applies, but I was just curious about the old station too. As far as, are there gonna be any additional expenses, maintenance, or depending on what you decide to do with the building?
And that's township property.
Oh. That would.
I'm like fighting word.
Right?
There's been a number of calls on that facility, and we need to really look at the, there's no reason to jump up and get rid of it immediately. I mean, you can shut it down to where it's basically in float mode. But I think we need to look at if there's any additional storage needs that we might have, or there's some firefighters that are interested in it for a nonprofit group use. That's one request. There's DJ's Meats that's interested in it.
I've had 2 people come to the building and ask about it.
And there's multiple issues that we'll have to resolve before we can even put it on the market.
So, but if it remains on township rolls, I wouldn't think that the fire department would have to pay for maintenance of that building.
That's
you
a good
know.
answer. That's the right
Oh.
answer for it.
It would come out of general fund if there's maintenance needs. If we retain it. I don't know.
Yes, that's.
Unless chief wants to.
Yeah.
Sell it and take the proceeds? Yes, he does.
Oh, is that your question, dude?
Right.
No, that was not my question.
I don't think that's an unreasonable request. I mean, it definitely could take some of the money. I don't know what you're gonna get out of it. That's the thing. It's hard to value these properties is very hard to determine anymore. I mean, it's just depends on who really. Oh, the fellow that owns the grocery store next door to it.
Oh.
Next door.
Street corner.
He was interested. So,
Oh, yeah, right next door.
Wine
I
basket.
mean, now what do? You put it out on the market and see who.
Right at South Beach Road, is that what it's called?
Who puts up the most interest? So,
Might be, we start really thinking about it.
what's that?
Get a cluster of people looking to want to do it, so it builds up the,
Right,
if we have to, we have to.
so,
I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just worried about getting our operation on right sides.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
the main, just the whole budget presentation is right sizing what we have now, making it fit for what the community needs.
right, well, great job.
Very good job. Just real quick, what if you went to 2 new employees? Would that help? You'd save a truck payment, you know, you could buy a truck.
It doesn't really, the
So,
way our operation operates with shift personnel, we have 24-hour shifts. So they work a 53-hour work week.
okay,
So they work, like I said earlier, before the meeting started, the dog's only here once every 3 days. So they work 24-hour shifts, so they're here for the whole time. You put 2, that means you have 2 shifts with 3 employees, 1 with 2. It doesn't
okay.
suit the needs.
It's a math thing, just doesn't work. Unless you have the right number of employees.
Fire lifestyle, it just doesn't fit in the
So
operations.
what I noticed on the little corner there of one of your documents, the cost of that dog that we have, our fire dog, what's
How
that?
much is kibble? I was thinking exactly the same thing.
That's just kidding there, but
Actually, the dog is pretty amazing because that was all through a grant. Everything, all the training, everything was done through grant through the state. He does pay for his own dog food. Dog does. But the vet fees, I believe, are covered by the
So he eats well, huh?
state lobster.
T-bone steak. All right, well, thanks, chief. Appreciate it. Very good job. And okay, so let's move on to final item number E that was added. When we spoke last month at our last meeting, we talked about how we had two companies that had the same price. It was based on square footage. And it turns out that one of the companies, one of the things that the way we were going to handle this was the township was going to pay for the cement. And any of the incidentals we had to do to get it prepped so the cement company could come in and pour and form and finish. And the whole idea was to try and bring this thing down to where it was within a realistic cost. If you remember, the numbers we got way back were $675,000 to repair the three different elements: the basketball, the tennis, and the hockey. So what we've got this down to, and in our budget for, I think we put $90,000 or something somewhere.
Capital for to end 2022.
Right, so the 90,000 would cover, it turns out won't cover the hockey rink. But it's also not $675,000. So it's like trying to figure out how do you manipulate these things. So K&R Concrete came back and said that they would supply, we were going to pay for a pump truck so that they wouldn't have to dismantle the fencing at the tennis court, which would be expensive and a lot of work. So that would save the township significant amount of money. So what that does for us is they will supply the pump truck and still do it at the same rate. And so what the ask is, that I'd like to make a motion to approve hiring K&R Concrete for $42,306. We probably could, I'll just say 45,000 just to round it off. I think that's fair in this case, but then
Did you say you had
pour finish, so it would be
exactly the same,
Oh,
except for
Yeah.
this one will give us a pump truck, so we don't have to take the fence down and put it in.
so let's call it $42,306. That was the estimate we were given. That's replacing 3 to 5 inches of concrete over the existing asphalt. Concretely related materials to be provided by others, that's us. K&R Concrete will saw cut control joints, a normal industry standard. Not assume reliability for any future conditions that may occur. In other words, they're not saying that because they're putting it on top of asphalt that we've requested to do.
yeah.
They're doing the job. So that's my motion.
Now, how much is the concrete gonna cost?
The concrete's will be about $27,000, so that'll be another thing that we'll have to put in the budget.
And then
But we
painting,
have $90,000.
Right, in there already, yeah. So it's about $70,000
Right.
is the estimated cost to
Make it happen.
make that happen. Then in the spring, we'll probably have an additional, we have to find out what the paint job's gonna cost, because this is
probably
where,
like 50,000.
no, we're probably 25,000.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
not
ridiculous.
far off.
Does that seal? Does it put a good seal on the concrete?
Yeah, it puts a coat on it that for like tennis has actually got a surface
Yeah.
material to it. It's not just a thin paint job, and the same thing with the basketball.
So this is for both courts or just one or?
That's for tennis and basketball.
Okay.
Oh, this doesn't include the hockey rink.
Does not include the hockey rink.
So I have a quick question. So will we have to ask for a motion to suspend the purchasing policy since we didn't go out for sealed bids?
Probably.
Okay,
So let's do that motion first. Make the motion to suspend the or purchasing policy. We did, and on that basis, I'll explain this part to it. What we did is we were trying to get local contractors. We keep trying to do that. We keep not getting them because of the way that bids and stuff come in. So we managed to get out of, how many did we send out? Probably
4 for sure. I think 5.
5, and we got 2 responses, both local contractors. So if we would have put closed bids out there, we probably would come back at a much higher price also.
I second the motion to suspend the board policy.
Okay.
So we're
So-
just waiving it.
Yes,
Waiving.
just
Yep.
waiving.
Okay.
All right, so then we'll need a vote on that.
Mr. Salvia,
Yes,
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Hamel.
Yes,
Okay. And that's just for this project.
The
Right,
concrete.
the
That's
concrete.
just for the concrete. We don't have any other bids.
right.
Okay.
So what's happening here is the township is working as a general contractor.
Okay.
Okay, so now you need a motion.
So I
resurface
move
the
that
board.
we approve K&R Concrete for the amount of $42,306 to put up to for a 3 to 5 inch concrete cap on the basketball court and a 3 to 5 inch cap over the tennis courts.
For support.
that's over the
Okay,
existing.
Yeah.
Existing,
yep.
that's safe.
Yep, actually, we've, I got with Beth and I had seen some stuff on the internet, of what they've been doing in these large parking lots and stuff. And one of the things that, having been in the business of doing paving and all those things, the basis for the best survival of any pavement is the base. If you have a good base, then you've got the opportunity to put surface on it that will last. Well, asphalt inherently shrinks. And that's where the cracks come from. So it's like a frosting that you spread out and then it shrinks and snaps. Well, that's the crack. If it crumbles, like you see in some places, that's a bad base. But what we have is we don't have crumbling, we just have big cracks over big distances. And the cracks are like ½ inch or so. So the indicator is that the base is good. Now with the addition of the thickness of the asphalt, that just increases the load bearing capacity of the base. So you pour cement on top of it. Now where that would not be effective is if you're trying to match a floor, then you're gonna have to tear it out. So what happens when you tear the asphalt out, you ruin the base. So now you've got to recompact the base, go through it, and now you're starting all over from scratch. This is a way to
Avoid that.
avoid that. So Beth and I went, we looked it up and Beth goes, wow, you're right. So what they've been doing is in huge parking lots, they go in and they grind down the asphalt, leaving like we did in the front there, and they pour cement on it. Because at this point in time, the cost of cement and asphalt is pretty darn close because of the cost of oil. And the other part is cement is cooler.
It is.
So they're
Okay,
taking
yeah.
these huge heat generating parking lots and they're reducing the heat
Well,
issue.
The grinding also gives the concrete a grabbing.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't have to do it. I mean, that's not, in a road, you would grind it down because you need to bring it down within the paving sector for curbing. So you're not moving curb. That's what I was talking about. So they would grind the edges so you'd have a
I had
hard edge.
mentioned that last time we talked about
Yep.
it. Reaffirmed that that's
So-
the same path.
We're not talking about grinding.
No grinding,
Ours.
no grinding.
Any more questions about the motion?
All right, so vote please.
All right. Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Sylvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, great. So we can,
And then what about the cement?
And say, what
now
about?
what'll happen with cement, we'll have to do a budget amendment. I don't know
No,
how you do it when the township
why
just
would
pays the
we?
bill.
Well, and it's not really a budget issue. We already have the
We
budget.
got the money, it's just a matter of,
It's just a purchasing,
we order the
decision.
cement.
So
Yeah.
up to 35,000, I mean,
right, the board should approve the purchase of cement.
Yeah,
Okay, so, yeah,
up to
A motion.
35, because we don't know what, every time there's another $50 charge per truck.
well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, just authorize the supervisor to order cement or something. Well, we can say for, say 30,000.
okay. I would
Yeah.
move to authorize the supervisor to purchase concrete for the projects for the business. For the basketball court and tennis court for up to 30,000.
That'd be good.
Support Lewis.
Okay, move to support it. Vote.
Mr. Howe,
Chair Hall votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Yes.
motion carries.
Yay. I can't wait for it to be done
So
with paint.
to clarify, we're doing the hockey rink next year.
Yep.
Okay.
And the interesting part is, we need to analyze
What's the
the hockey
best?
rink. Maybe that's the pickleball courts, additional pickleball courts. You know, so instead of a hockey rink, I mean, we've over and over had people they'll come up and they say, we want that rink fixed. And they get a couple of people and they say, well, we got a bunch of people and then nothing ever happens.
Right.
Well, one
And-
thought might be, put on a general survey, if we had a pickleball court, how many people, I know a couple of guys that go to the YMCA to play pickleball, but there's somewhere else to go. Have no place.
Well, there's a group here in Highland.
Yeah. So
But,
before we adjourn, I had one off the wall question. When we switched from the county doing our tax, et cetera,
Oh, assessing?
yeah, how are we doing with that?
Great.
Okay,
They're on.
because I had another friend of mine who works in another municipality, so they went back, I think, went back to the county. And I just didn't comment, and I just said, well, I know we switched off of it, so everything's still good with that.
Yep.
The company we have,
Doing what they said they were gonna do.
yep, seems to be working great.
Jenny was great because she worked for the county. So she had that background too, Joe.
Our assessor.
Yeah, Jenny Engel.
I think just on a personal note, because of how I was involved in that whole process.
Oh, we don't need to go there.
No, what happens is this is an answer to Joe's question. Because somebody asks you, this is a way to get that information back. What happens is the county already has an oversight authority. In order for them to develop their budget, they need to know what all the other communities are charging.
That's true.
So what better way to know what the communities are charging than to actually be in control of it? So if you're gonna do a 4-year, 5-year budget, then your equalization is gonna be involved in figuring out how much they need to add to everything to maintain that budget.
Yeah.
That, I believe strongly, is a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
Because it should be up to either the local communities and privatization for the assessing to keep it from being something that can be manipulated that way. Now, private group companies cannot do anything out of the crazy realm because the county still has oversight.
Right.
So they can come back in and disagree and they can
It's
add
completely
or,
legislated how that.
Well,
works.
yeah, thank you, not just county, state.
Yeah.
right,
And federal.
I mean, it's
So-
completely legislated and people have the
You have a range. You can do
capability
some-
to appeal it.
right. So that's. It's still cheaper, but that's not the point. The point is that. Of some things that went on with us, but there's other communities that are having the same kinds of issues, so.
yeah. What's the other firm again? I forgot.
What's that?
The firm that's doing. our-
Wayne County Assessing.
Wayne County Assessing.
WCA.
So, okay, on that note, meeting's adjourned.
Yeah.
Everybody?